It's the RJ Ochoa Show on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. What's going on in Jerry's world? What's the latest from Cowboy Camp? Find out right here, Friday mornings at 7:30 and 9:30 with the manager and editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa. Here's Robin Rudy.
It's R and R plus a J and an R and R and R and a J. It's what we call the RJ Ochoa Show. We're glad he's with us. Natalie adorned in a cowboy polo. It's Victory Polo Friday. Welcome on, RJ. Glad to have you aboard.
It's great to be with y'all. Great to see you, Rob, and your bright, shining, beautiful face. Edwin, always amazing to hear your voice. Rudy, what's up?
Yeah, how you doing, Rudy?
What? Well, then let's fight, RJ. I watch all your videos. I watch all your videos, right? I watch them all. You're a great follow. And last night, as you do after every Cowboy game, win or lose, you show your beautiful smile. And one line that left me scratching my head was, we can now end this narrative that they can't beat a team above 500 and they can't beat good teams. We can end that narrative. You ended that last night. That's it. The narrative is gone. Let's just throw it in the wind. Are you being for real with that?
So first of all, I appreciate saying I have a beautiful smile. I
You
won
do.
Best Smile several times, but I had braces as a child, so it feels somewhat fraudulent.
Shout out to your parents.
I think my parents would be happy to know their money was well.
You won Best Smile?
I didn't even know.
Is that a contest, or did you just like?
It was like a social club,
okay.
Like an end of year banquet thing. But
it is lovely.
You know what I mean? You put it on the resume. Anyway, I said that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, thinking of my kind of mouth area, because this is a dumb narrative in general. To act like, again, Rudy, who is the NFL team that has 9 wins all against gauntlet, quality?
Nobody.
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 Okay, so why is this a discussion point specifically for the Cowboys? I mean, it's so silly. And again, I would tolerate this discussion more if they were eking out these wins against the quote-unquote below 500 teams, but they're blowing them out. And again, last night did beat a team that was above 500. If the Rams get to above 500 through the course of the regular season, do we give them credit for that? You know what I mean? Like right now, the Broncos are above 500, so people are like, hey, well, the Dolphins beat by scoring 70 points that's above 500. This is a silly way of looking at things when there is so much information available to us. And you mentioned my videos. I would love to hear your thoughts on the video that I sent you yesterday on Instagram.
We've discussed.
You went to bat for a quarterback who hasn't been able to do the things that the Cowboys have to do, even against below 500 teams.
Serve.
Okay.
Volley.
Real quick, for those just now tuning in that didn't hear, we had a big debate in Oxnard. It was Jason and RJ versus Joe Reinagle and myself. I said, RJ, I'm the Los Angeles Chargers GM. You're Jerry Jones. I call you and say, I will give you Justin Herbert for Dak Prescott. And you immediately said, no way, shape, or form. Minnick said, no way, shape, or form. Joe and I looked at y'all like y'all were crazy. Last night, you sent me the video and said, do you still feel the same way? And I responded, because of the upside, it did take Dak a while to get here. This is Dak's best year in his 8th year. Isn't it only fair that we give Justin Herbert the same amount of time?
So Jason and I had a chat going on as well that was a lot funnier than what you just said. I think where I disagree the most.
Okay.
And this is what's amazing to me is for somebody who plays the position as viewed and as visible as it is for Dak Prescott. While this is the best that he's ever played, I think he has come very close to this many times before. Like people are acting like, he's been a 6 out of 10 for his entire career, and it's just now this arrival. Like that's not the case at all. And so this has been who he has always been. There have just been things that worked against him and bad luck and poor play on his part, obviously, at different times in the past. But yeah, I'm happy to hear that some people, obviously not yourself, perhaps Joe, are in the proper light.
Only thing that he does better than Dak is he's younger. Right now, Dak is head and shoulders better than Justin Herbert.
He's also paid more. Would you pay Justin Herbert, 20% more?
Not right now.
Not yet.
No.
Now, let's stay on Dak real quick. Are we getting close to the ceiling?
A moment ago, before I joined you all, Ed Werder tweeted out that Dak became the 9th quarterback to throw for at least 20 touchdown passes and no more than 2 interceptions in a single season, 6-game span. Of the previous 8 quarterbacks to do it, 6 of them won MVP. That list includes Aaron Rodgers twice, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson did it while not winning the MVP. So did Drew Brees. So I guess I would answer, did we ever understand what the ceiling was on Tom Brady or Drew Brees?
No.
Or Aaron? Oh, Peyton Manning was one of those as well in 2013. I mean, this is, if it is the ceiling, I think when we hear that term, we think like, oh, it's short-lived.
No,
like we're here for a ride. Like this is who, and I once wrote something for ESPNSA.com back in the day talking about how 2014 Tony Romo was kind of Romo finally reaching an intellectual understanding of the game that was far superior to his competition. And unfortunately, great tragedy of it all was he just couldn't withstand the game anymore from a physical perspective. Dak is at that same mental capacity, but with the physical body. He is Cyrano, but with the good looks. You know what I mean? Like he has everything you kind of want and dream. And Rudy, you mentioned it being his 8th year. I think that's part of what's happening here. He's seen a lot in the NFL. He's been in so many offensive systems that he now kind of has enough trust and belief and talent and skill to kind of put it all together in the way that we're seeing.
That's RJ Ochoa of Blogging the Boys. He's here for his Friday weekly. And when I say this is his ceiling, I'm not saying this is a mountain peak and he's going to go decline. I'm saying when I saw Dak Prescott 8 years ago and I thought, okay, what's this big boy who never took a snap under center at Mississippi State, who's got a reasonable arm? What can we expect the max out of him? And all of these skill sets. And over the last 5 weeks, we have seen what I thought he got the max out of everything he could do. This is it. And it's exactly what it needs to be.
Obviously, you both saw the Aaron Rodgers clip on Pat McAfee.
It was good, wasn't it?
My favorite thing that he said, and it's really difficult for me to give credit to Aaron Rodgers, but my favorite thing was that he mentioned that Dak is really playing the position.
Yes.
And my takeaway, my paraphrasing of that is, I am in no way trying to diminish the accomplishments of other NFL quarterbacks right now, but Dak isn't some parlor trick. He's not getting it done on the ground in this new modern way where he's this athlete like you talked about, Rob, the way he was at Mississippi State. I mean, everybody remembers that game in Baton Rouge against LSU where he ran all over them. This is a cerebral passing quarterback. I mean, who is getting it done by way of his arm, who is kind of a throwback and a harkening back to the elite modern evolution from passing game. And so I can understand how somebody like Aaron Rodgers would have an appreciation for that. But what's amazing is that he does have some elements of being able to run, but like, again, I'm not likening Dak Prescott to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers always had a sneaky level of mobility to his game that helped him get outside the pocket and keep plays alive. And so in some ways, that is kind of the best comp for what we're seeing from Dak right now.
Completely agree.
When CD was getting ready to break his record for the 5 straight games, Mike McCarthy's like, yeah, I was cognizant of it. Absolutely. It's NFL record. Well, when we started nitpicking the game last night, the one thing that came that's the glaring sore was throwing the ball on 33 while Seattle has no timeouts. Well, Rob and I combined our minds, and we think that Mike McCarthy knew that Dak was going to break the record for 4 straight home games of 300+ yards passing, which is why he threw it.
He was 1 yard away at that point.
So while everybody's like, what the hell's he thinking? Rob and I honestly think that's what he was thinking.
We hope anyway.
We hope,
because there's no excuse if that wasn't it.
If that ain't it, then it's an awful call.
I'm not saying that I don't buy that at all. I'll buy some stock. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
it was a gimme play. They were going to kick a field goal anyway.
Right. Well, to me, it's you guys are the Girl Scouts in the off. I feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like, I'll buy some of that in that way.
It's just one box of Samoas, Rudy. RJ.
Right,
it's just one box.
I more than that, I associate it with his aggression. I think about how they went for it on 4th down and obviously convert. I mean, this was a game where the Cowboys defense got worked, got bullied, got pushed around, and I mean, we all objectively agree that Dak Prescott is at least firmly in the MVP conversation.
Number one, baby.
Number one.
He's the best on the Cowboys right now. So, I mean, if we kind of dilute, all of the points of it all, it becomes, okay, well, I've got the ball in the hands of my best player, and he can end the game, and if he can break a record in the process, cool. But I would much rather, live and die on that sword than I would anything else.
Can you defend the call, though? Even in hindsight, can you defend that call?
I mean, not strongly,
no.
But I can go down swinging, you know what I mean? Because,
yeah, you're right.
I think it's aggression. Look, Mike McCarthy is not here to punt, and I mean that metaphorically, but also somewhat literally in this case. He is here to end things. I mean, think about how aggressively he attacks teams from an offensive perspective, and I would much rather my head coach and play caller be on this end of the spectrum than the other. I mean, he is here to kill you and cut your head off and leave it and throw your body outside of the house, of the building, the mansion, wherever this scary movie is taking place. He does not want to leave you with an opportunity to lose games or to be on the losing side of the game.
Did you see in the first few games, first 6-7 games, had you not given up, but had you given up hope on Dak and Ferg becoming what Dak has been with Witten and Schultz?
I never believed in Jake Ferguson. I'll kind of out myself there.
Okay.
Because I believe that some fans in all areas of sports very often confuse wants with belief. There are so many people who, man, I tell you, I really believe that insert rookie 6th-round pick is going to be amazing for this team. You want this to happen. Let's not misconstrue this. And so, like, just because Jake Ferguson was the starting tight end, I think a lot of people were like, I really believe. No, like, you wanted it to happen. There were some reasons to believe that it would, but no one could have possibly seen this coming. This was not predictable in any way, sense, or form. It does make sense, though, given that Dak has had a really prominent connection with his tight end. Dalton Schultz is kind of a great example of that, and obviously he's a talented player in his own right, and I know James Pledger is very happy about that right now. But I said this in our postgame show last night, and I don't want to be silly, but what makes Ferg so interesting is he's kind of this hybrid of the best qualities of Travis Kelce in a vertical passing perspective, and George Kittle in terms of being a little bit, off kilter and being willing and ready to scrap. I mean, like, he is physical and nasty and agile and quick and light on his feet. He is chaotic poetry in motion, and that is an incredible weapon to have in the middle of the field.
Chaotic poetry in motion. I want to be described that way.
Ready to scrap.
Wow.
He did get in Jamal Adams' face. Hey, what do you think of DeRon Bland today?
I think DeRon.
It's a toasty smell.
Yeah, you're both familiar with the term moral victory. Oh, man, we hung with them, it's a moral victory even though we lost. DeRon Bland's got a moral loss going on today. Hey, dude, you won. You had to pick. It was a great moment. And truly respect on digging in and not quitting, when the going was as tough as it could have possibly been. But, I mean, you can take away the lessons from the true total shame that you would have had you lost this game, while having the benefit of being on the winning side of things. It was true classic poetry that on the day that he would, get all these flowers, that he'd get destroyed. But I mean, what a shocker. It's a difficult thing to guard DK Metcalf.
Right.
I don't know that anybody
and Jigba and Lockett too. I mean, it wasn't an easy matchup, but man, oh man. And I want to dovetail off of that. The Cowboys are not going to get any credit today for playing as well as they did with their third game in 12 days, because in that fourth quarter, the defense was out of gas. I'll firmly stand by that. That was on fumes, and it was done with want to, because they were done in that last drive. Thank goodness for a little bit of defensive line push when they absolutely had to have it, because that was a tired football team.
This is an annual gripe of mine. Every team plays 3 games in 12 days. Every team, when they go Sunday to Thursday.
Right.
Now, this is a different one because they don't get that mini bye after their first Thursday game. Now, to be fair as well, Seattle's going through it just the same. The Thursday games were both at home for Dallas. I mean, you can really pick.
I agree.
But you're right. I mean, it is a factor. It is relevant. And I think beyond that, they might be a little bit fraudulent on defense. I think that's look.
What?
All the things that people want to say about
Fair.
the Cowboys as a whole, can't beat teams above 500, can't hang with the big boys. Think about the measuring sticks they've had against the best offenses in the NFL. Obviously, the Cardinals lost this weird kind of outlier, but San Francisco, maybe the best offense in the NFL, got absolutely worked. I know that the game was close in Philadelphia, but the Eagles had a 100% conversion rate in the red zone. Think about that. They had a 100% conversion rate in the red
That's
zone
like
against
3
this
touchdown
almighty
passes in a
defense.
row.
And Dan Quinn, who walks on water, who you can't ever criticize, who when the Cowboys do anything notable
Preach.
on defense, it's all Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn gets all the credit. Dan Quinn's running the show. Mike McCarthy's just hanging out, holding the sheet in front of his face. The one play call last night to stand firm in the chaos was Mike McCarthy. I know y'all didn't talk to him this morning, but I guarantee you Mike's back is sore from carrying Dan Quinn. Now, credit to the Cowboys defense for sticking their foot in the ground and getting 3 straight turnovers on down in the fourth quarter. But they were in that hole over and over and over and over again because Dan Quinn got worked by his former boss.
Well, let me retort real quick. And I'm not defending him, but isn't Quinn a victim of his style? I mean, we're running 215-pound linebackers out there. His style is going to get physical. That it's just going to happen.
I mean, I kind of agree with you, but I mean, Dan Quinn, I don't think anyone's feeling bad for you. You got Micah Parsons and Demarcus Lawrence and Deron Bland and Stephon. You've got all the toys here, Dan Quinn. Like, you've gotten all the draft capital in recent memory. And what's more is, it's one thing to get worked, but it's another thing to get worked by Shane Waldron and the Seahawks offense, who hadn't scored a touchdown in forever, offensively, obviously. I mean, Seahawks fans were ready to run him out the door, and he owned Dan Quinn. I mean, he won that fight last night. Dan Quinn just had some friends on his side that carried him a little bit more.
RJ, will you do us a favor? Will you give away some tickets? You a fan of Breaking Benjamin?
Yeah, actually. Do I have to pick a number?
Yeah, pick a number.
I don't want to make Edwin work too hard, so let's do in honor of Dak Prescott, caller number 4.
We'll do it again.
Easy money.
The MVP, caller 4.
Love
if you've
you,
been hanging
dog.
around all day long, get some Breaking Benjamin tickets on us. 656-3776. They'll be here January the 24th. You want to go? Get your tickets now. If you don't, go to livenation.com. RJ Ochoa, my brother, thanks for stopping by. Oh, by the way, you're a rock star. I saw you on TV.
What? Where?
Well, no, not TV. I heard you on radio, talking on the ESPN network.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Q for having me on. Also, shout out to Rudy and Joe for giving the Justin Herbert fodder back in July. That's really dumb here.
I hate you.
Hey, thank you, RJ. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you next week